you can hear me, go ahead and just put in the chat, hey, hi, I can hear you, okay. Put a period in, just so I can make sure everyone can hear me before we go in. So I think we're live, but I'm just waiting on someone to actually put in, let's see. Can you hear me? I know you guys have fun with this, making sure that the audio is is connected correctly.
Yeah, definitely.
We started no, so yeah, they said they can't see or hear me.
Uh-oh, trouble.
Right.
I don't know if it's my fault. This is my first time doing a Google Hangout, so
Nah. Okay. Now they said they can.
cool.
Okay. Great. All right. So I am here with Jake, and I am here with our very special guest, Mr. Will Mitchell. For those of you guys who don't know, Will is a part of the Startup Bros importing empire, and it's a great community of it's a great community of people who are interested and who already are on Amazon and they're importing. And there are many people, and Will, you could definitely correct me if I'm wrong, that have taken their business beyond Amazon, that are in your community, which is, definitely inspirational. If you could, I would really just love for you to go ahead and tell our guests more about yourself, and your journey and where you are right now and how you got started, because you have a very interesting story.
Thanks. It was not intentional. It wasn't very interesting until recently. But yeah, yeah. So I got started when I was 12, 13 years old. Went straight into to make long story short, to compress the whole thing. For whatever reason, wasn't very into school. So I decided to just kind of go straight into business. Kind of the logic I used wasn't really getting. I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I absolutely knew it. So I didn't see the connection between formal education and what I thought entrepreneurs do. Um, so my theory was, entrepreneurs are made through real world mistakes and real world, learning from experiences. So I kind of saw the whole entrepreneurship journey as a set of experiences that I had to go through. And I just decided to get started early. So 12, 13 years old, I started importing counterfeits from China and started selling those, everything from purses, wallets, sunglasses, workout guides, everything you can think of. I did it, and so we were importing those, making really good money on those. We probably pay anywhere from $5 to $20 per item, and we'd sell it anywhere from 40 to 250. So doing really well with those, and eventually I got a cease and desist. So I followed the cease and desist, stopped the counterfeits, and went into legitimate products. So went through a whole bunch of products and went through the whole process that we all go through trying to figure out what products to import and all that stuff. So I was really young and didn't have really anything else to do with my life, so I just kept on hacking at it and eventually really figured it out. And yeah, so that's kind of how I got into the game. Yeah, at this point, we run a company now that imports about $15 million worth of goods a year. We sell to professional hair salons, things like that. So I definitely have a lot more experience off of Amazon than on Amazon. In that business, we do probably 150,000 a week in that business in sales, and probably out of that, probably maybe 5 to 10,000 comes from Amazon every week. So we're obviously doing much more business off of Amazon, or yeah, off of Amazon. So much more of an expert there. But yeah, so that's one of the businesses we run, and then obviously Startup Bros, where one of my great passions is kind of just hanging out with other entrepreneurs, like we're doing here, and just kind of tossing ideas around and really just making stuff happen and building companies and things like that. So yeah, we have Startup Bros, which kind of fulfills that side of my life, and yeah, so we're doing great.
Very nice, very nice. So when you say you do most of your business off of Amazon, that's how you started. And is that like, is Amazon kind of like just extra, or do you see yourself expanding more of it? What was Amazon to you, and how did you get drawn to Amazon? Since you really, from the sounds of it, you don't really need it.
So, when I was doing this, when I was younger and I was doing this, Amazon was a huge part of my business. It was honestly probably, Amazon and eBay were probably 95%, 90% of my business. So yeah, I definitely, know my way around them for sure and really appreciate them and have benefited from greatly. But just in that company specifically, we're much more about off of Amazon just because of the business model. We only sell to professional cosmetologists, and professional cosmetologists they're really big on non-diversion and not seeing their products that they're buying, professional products that they're buying, not seeing those in a Walmart or an Amazon. So that business model doesn't really jive with it. Um, but yeah, so every other business I've run though, Amazon has been a huge part of it, and yeah, for our clients and things like that, Amazon, we definitely recommend going into Amazon, taking advantage of it, building your business on there. But we don't want to get swept up in this big internet marketing mania that's taking over this niche. Because, like I said, I've been in this since 2000. So it just in the last year or two, it's really kind of just been swept over with this internet marketing wave. So we don't want to get swept up in that. We don't want our clients to get swept up in that. We want to really keep an eye on that big picture and recognize that we always say to our clients, as you know, Rye, you've probably heard me say it 1,000 times. We're all about, we don't want our clients to get boxed into being Amazon salespeople, private labelers, anything like that. We want them to be entrepreneurs, and you guys have to know all the different opportunities, all the different business models, and how to apply them at different times in your business's life cycle. So yeah, with our clients in our business, we're much more focused on the bigger picture and just how Amazon plays a piece in that, rather than that being the end goal.
Hey, Will, let me ask you, can you
Yep.
define what you mean by swept up in the internet marketing aspect? How do you define what that is?
Yeah, I guess internet marketing, I mean, internet marketing, obviously, I really talk about the culture of, warrior form and things like this, which there's great things to be learned in internet marketing and warrior form and all these places. But, at the same time, a lot of people in that area, they're just looking for the next get rich quick type of thing. And now that e-commerce is really taken off right now, retail is really dying now, and mainstream culture is just moving to e-commerce. Now that that's happening, I think pretty much everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. You see Shopify, Evolution, BigCommerce, all these companies are just exploding. Amazon, eBay, Etsy. You could just go down the list and talk about all these companies that are really owe their success to the e-commerce revolution that's happening right now. And yeah, all these companies are benefiting from it, and internet marketers are jumping on that bandwagon as well, taking advantage of the kind of get-rich-quick angle of it. So we really focus. We get a lot of clients too that are like that, honestly, when they first start out with us. But we really kind of take them through and break down that mindset and say, hey, internet marketing, there's tons of great material to learn here, but you have to really get the entrepreneurial mindset, the business mindset down first, and then apply those internet marketing concepts to your business, to your greater goals, and not just get caught up in the get rich quickness of it.
So let me ask you this, because you brought up a very important point with it not being quick. Now, for some people, they're interested in doing retail, and there's some people that are interested in doing private label, which private label can be more profitable, but it takes a little longer. Could you tell the audience what the difference is, and which do you prefer and why?
Between private label and arbitrage? Right. So again, honestly, I think they both have their places in your business's growth, and I think if you're going to go into importing, e-commerce, FBA, all these business, all these kind of internet marketing, tagline type words, they're all really referring to the same business model. It's this importing e-commerce type of business model. If you're going to go into that, you really have to know the different types of things. So you should really know everything from retail arbitrage, going out and just scanning stuff in the store and selling that, all the way up to private labeling, building out your own product line. Um, so we really recommend our clients, again, know all these different business models and know when to apply each one, and when to apply them and how and everything. So, but between arbitrage and private label, to answer your question directly, obviously I think private label is going to be better for the long term. But again, and even beyond private label, you really want to build out your own product line and start making modifications to your product that really enhance your customers' lives. Those are the things that are really going to set your company apart and turn it into a multi-million dollar, a real sellable company. So that's what we want to see for our clients. So I think arbitrage, private label, both of those are stepping stones to that greater goal, and I think that's important to recognize. So between arbitrage and private label, I would definitely prefer private label. But if you're just starting out, again, don't just look at some huge private labeler and get intimidated and discouraged. Start off just go out to the store, go out next time you're grocery shopping, just start scanning some stuff and just start buying and selling things online, and that's going to get the momentum going, and it's going to just make things so much easier because you're actually going to wake up every day excited to work on it and excited to learn it, and it's not going to be discouraging because it's actually working for you. And once it's actually working, you can see what's working, how it works, and really start to understand it, and then start to build in all these different complexities, all these different elements. Okay, but now we're private labeling. Okay, now we're adding a second product. Okay, now we have 5 products. Okay, now we need a website, and it just kind of grows from there.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I think when people initially look at Amazon, it's very, very 2D, and they're only looking at Amazon. And it's really cool that you actually teach beyond that. I do have an audience question, and Denise asks, so what do you see happening long term with e-commerce?
I can only see it getting bigger, honestly. Yeah, we talk about this a lot, and it's something that I didn't even recognize really until we started taking on a lot of clients and teaching this. But it's really incredible. It was really probably 2-3 months ago that it really hit me. Again, all these different companies that are blowing up right now really owe all their success to this e-commerce revolution. Like all these big companies, again, Shopify, Evolution, BigCommerce, eBay, Amazon, Etsy. There's just tons and tons of e-commerce sites that are just blowing up right now, and really, it's not because it's not just a coincidence. It's because now is the time that retail is finally, mainstream America is finally starting to recognize how awesome Amazon is and how awesome e-commerce is. And in the past, even 2-3 years ago, especially while we were all feeling the effects of the financial collapse still, people really didn't trust any random e-commerce store online. They wanted to go and shop at places they trusted. They wanted to get the tangible goods in their hands. There was just a general distrust in the market. But now that things are kind of recovering pretty well, I don't know if it's going to last or anything. That's a whole nother story. But now that the economy is doing pretty well again, and everyone's pretty optimistic again, mainstream America will pretty much buy from any Shopify store. Shopify kind of identified the trust elements that are necessary, and anyone can get up and running and selling in 15, 20, 30 minutes. I think all the pieces are really fitting together. The e-commerce revolution is kind of fueled by the death of retail and the rise of technology and automation. And they're kind of colliding in this market right now and just creating just a huge market. I mean, guys, we're talking Amazon, $100 billion company growing at 20% year over year. It's just outrageous amounts of growth happening throughout the entire market. Really, honestly, we'll look back at this period in 10, 20 years and say, my God, it was so easy back then. The same way people look back at SEO right now and say, oh my God, you could just type a bunch of keywords on a page and it used to rank. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be like, my God, that was such a huge opportunity right there.
Very nice, very nice. And Bradley wants to know, and this is actually a pretty interesting question because I haven't had this issue myself. I guess I joined Amazon too early. But do you have any suggestions when trying to get ungated or trying to go to a category in Amazon that is restricted?
The first piece of advice I would have is to be confident and unintimidated. A lot of I've seen some pretty ridiculous things get through. One of our clients just literally. One of our clients literally just went out to Walmart. You saw that they had to get ungated, went straight out to Walmart. Excuse me. Went straight out to Walmart and bought a few bottles of what her product would look like. Took it home, removed the labels, and just printed out like a custom like just putting text on an editor. This woman's a nurse, so it's not like she was like a graphic designer. She literally just like opened up, paint, and so she printed it out on a piece of paper, cut it out, and put it around, taped the back of it, and just took some pictures of it, sent it to Amazon, and she got ungated for, I think that was beauty or maybe even health, yeah, health and beauty. So yeah, first suggestion would be, be confident and unintimidated, because really I think it's, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but from what I've seen, I think that it's just there more as an intimidation factor. Something that people that aren't confident in their products aren't going to try to get ungated. So I think it's not. I think there's much less human interaction with it. I think it's pretty automated, and it's pretty much just like, okay, this person looks like they know what they're doing. So first of all, be unintimidated. Second thing I would mention is, and I don't know the website off the top of my head. I'll try to get it for you on the replay, Rye. But there's a website out there that, oops, sorry about that. There's a website out there, I forget the name of it, but they actually do it as a service, and they actually, I think, guarantee it, so you don't even pay unless you get ungated. And I forgot the name of the website, but I will get it for you in the replay. But you can definitely just Google, and look for a few of those services. And yeah, I would guess that there's a couple out there.
Okay, yeah, very cool. Yeah, I in one of the groups, someone actually said they have that service. I believe, I don't know if it was maybe Andy Slamman's maybe nephew offered the service. I can't remember who it was, but they offer services, and basically you pay to get unrestricted per category. So I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty cool too, and I believe you get like a refund if they don't get you ungated.
Yep. That sounds. Yeah, we might be talking about the same company then.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So let me ask you this. Are there any niches or item types that you suggest we stay away from, or people stay away from when they're beginning?
Yeah, so the obvious one's electronics. Electronics just going to be a nightmare, and I'm sure, everyone here has probably heard that. Honestly, we've had so many different, guests come in from so many different big importing companies, inspection companies, all the, e-commerce companies, and I always ask them, how do you feel about electronics? And they're always like, yeah, just stay away from them. They're a nightmare. So obviously there's companies out there making money with electronics, but it's a really tough niche, especially starting out. There's just so many different certification issues, and there's a really high defect rate. Just a lot of different problems with it. But so electronics, definitely stay away from. In general, I'd try to stay away from anything that's pretty big and heavy and expensive to ship. Those are just going to be a tough. It's not that you can't make money in them. It's just really, it's more complex to make money in them, because the shipping. There's so many different variables in shipping, and yeah. So I would stay away from a lot of those big items if you're just starting out. And in general, things that don't have a high air tolerance. So think about the air tolerance of the product that you're importing. And for instance, this shirt. If I'm importing this shirt and one of the buttons comes and it's not threaded correctly and the button's hanging off, I can easily repair that or even just sell it, and it's probably going to go okay. On the flip side, if I'm selling this headset, if one little thing is unthreaded and unconnected, all of a sudden the headset doesn't work because a little tenth of a cent transistor isn't connected correctly, somewhere deep in this board right, or this board right here, and so there's just so many different things. Think about the air tolerance of your item and how an error would affect the sale price and the customer satisfaction. And obviously, as you think about that relationship, the higher the air tolerance, usually the better the product's going to be. So that's just a few. I mean, I could probably just sit here all day and rant about products not to import, though. But yeah, I mean, um, yeah, obviously, really, yeah, complex things, but that goes back to the air tolerance thing. Trademarked goods you want to stay away from. Yeah, I mean,
And that's some of the questions I get asked a lot are in the research process. Do you use any tools specifically during your research process to help you validate whether a product may be a good product for you to sell?
yeah, so the main one I use is Terapeak, and actually, one thing we use pretty religiously is what we call our product research workbook, and that's basically a spreadsheet. And Ryan, you've probably seen it, I'm sure. It's basically this workbook, just this little Excel spreadsheet that we've put together that really kind of simplifies the product research stage. Because what I found through, and this took me years and years and years to figure out, but what I found through so many failed products and so many hours of product research is, the big thing that really delays you in product research and really holds you up is the fact that you don't really have a consistent measuring stick to know what's a good product and what's a bad product. So most people, when they're going through their product research, they're saying, okay, here's this bottle, here's a price, here's what it's going for on eBay, what would it cost to ship, and there are different colors. Okay, but there's 5 different colors. What would it cost me to print on there, and does it come with another company's logo? So that's what most people do when they do product research. They're just kind of lost, and they just go all over the place, and they just don't have a consistent scope to look through, basically. So what this product research workbook does is basically gives you that consistent scope, and it says, okay, here's 6 or 7 pieces of data that you actually need that are actually useful. Go collect that data about as many products as you can think of, and then at the end you're going to have basically this results column that kind of shows you a comparative view of how all those products stack up against each other and which one's going to be the most profitable for you to go into. So we always tell our clients, go put 25, 50 products into this spreadsheet, and then from there you can go through and say, okay, these 5 products look really, really awesome. These 5 products look like they have potential. And then you go through on those 5 products and do that whole crazy process of saying, okay, how many different colors are there, and what's it going to cost to ship, and what are the duties and taxes, and what are the tariffs, and are there regulations, all that stuff. Let's save that for just the products that are really awesome. So that's kind of what that workbook's designed to do. And yeah, if any of you guys want the workbook, kind of a little bonus for your guys here, Rye, because I know you got a really dedicated crowd, is if you just go to startupbros.com/workbook, there's no email opt-in or anything. That'll just straight download our product research workbook. And that's something we only give to clients only. So the one you'll get is, from, I think, last Jumpstart group. So we have a little bit of an updated version now, but that version will definitely do everything you need it to. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, really going through with that spreadsheet. And again, it's so easy to get lost and overwhelm yourself with all the different variables. So really focus on getting 25 to 50 products on the spreadsheet as quick as possible and just getting those data points. At that point, it's really just data entry. Just do the data entry, and then at the end of it all, go through and say, okay, here's the 5 products out of these that are actually worth thinking about.
Another concern I get is competition. How do you evaluate your competition, making sure you're not entering a market that's going to be too competitive?
Yeah, definitely. So one tool that we use, that we recommend, so there's so many different tools out there, especially now, again, with the internet marketing craze kind of happening. Everyone's trying to kind of stake their claims. So a lot of internet marketing guys just coming out with random pieces of software every day. But so the only thing that we really recommend you need is something called Terapeak. And Terapeak is basically a software tool that Terapeak has an exclusive deal with eBay. Basically, they're the only company that has access to eBay sales data, and nobody has access to Amazon sales data. So every day I see all these different tools coming out with Amazon. Nobody has access to that data, so it's really just kind of making assumptions. But so anyways, yeah, So yeah, Terapeak, really the only one we recommend, and that really simplifies things. So Terapeak has the 7-day free trial, and we always recommend people, 7 days is all you really need. So pull the trigger on that 7-day free trial when you're ready to fill out that product research workbook. But one of the metrics that we use really religiously in Terapeak is sell-through ratio. And that's basically a percentage. So, you see 25, 35% sell-through ratio when you type in a product. So yeah, basically you can go in and say, okay, I'm selling this water bottle. You put, blue blender bottle with, cooled spout or whatever. Put that into Terapeak, and Terapeak's going to basically go through all of eBay's sales data and crunch the numbers for just that specific product. So it's really, really good at analyzing the market of just a specific product, because a lot of people coming from the SEO side of things, a lot of people have been in SEO for a long time, and just know those concepts. It's really easy. We see so many people that are like, all right, I found this niche. How do I tell if this niche is good? It's really not about niches with selling products and e-commerce. It's really about analyzing the supply and demand dynamics and the pricing dynamics of the market of each individual product. So each individual product and each individual variation of a product has different market dynamics at play. So Terapeak is really good at kind of diving in and understanding those market dynamics for each individual product. So sell-through ratio, you'd say blue blender bottle with a cool spout, and Terapeak will go out and the sell-through, it'll find average price, average shipping price, all this cool data. And one really cool thing it finds that nothing else I found can do is the sell-through ratio. And the sell-through ratio is basically, out of 100 products, out of 100 listings, how many of this product actually sell? So, if you have a 90% sell-through ratio, that would mean that 9 out of 10 products are selling in that market. So that would basically tell you, holy cow, there's just tons of buyers and not enough sellers. On the flip side, if there's a 10% sell-through ratio, that would tell you that there's tons of sellers and no buyers, because only 1 out of 10 listings are actually being bought by a buyer. So sell-through ratio.
How do they calculate that? Do you know?
So they actually go through eBay's sales data to do that. So again, they're the only people that have access to eBay sales data. So they dive into every single listing that eBay's had in the past, I think 90 days they do. So past 90 days looks at every single piece of every listing that eBay has had in the last 90 days, and then analyzes based on the keywords you put in. So you could just put water bottle in and really kind of analyze the entire water bottle niche, or you could put, again, a really specific product and see how the market is for that specific product.
Is that sell-through ratio, is that the numbers you're posting in the spreadsheet? Sales volume of 90-day sell-through?
Yeah, so if you're in that spreadsheet, the 90-day sell-through ratio and the 30-day sell-through ratio, those both come from Terapeak. And I don't have the spreadsheet open right now, but there's, I think it's the second row on there, or the third row maybe, is just a little bit of text, and it basically says where the data comes from. And if you see there, it'll basically say where you get the data for each individual column. So you get, I think, the sales volume, the eBay sell price, and the sell-through ratio from there.
Oh yeah, it shows Terapeak in there. So you're basing whether or not you should get on Amazon mainly. You could use this by saying, okay, if this product is, these lunch boxes are selling on Amazon, on eBay, then they're probably selling on Amazon. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, for the most part. There's exceptions to that, but again, and we don't recommend, obviously, when you look at the results column in that spreadsheet, it actually doesn't factor in sell-through ratio. So sell-through ratio, I think, is just a really valuable piece of data to have. So again, what we actually recommend just going through and filling out the 90-day sell-through ratio first. Excuse me, and then again, for the products that look interesting, for those final 5-10 products that really catch your eye in the end, on those, then you can go through and look at the 30-day sell-through ratio. And by comparing the 30-day sell-through ratio and the 90-day sell-through ratio, you can actually see the trend of the market. So, if the 90-day sell-through ratio is 10% and the 30-day is 90%, then you're saying, okay, 90 days ago this was not a hot product, but something happened, and now this is a really hot product in the last 30 days. And vice versa. If something has a really good yeah, a really good 90-day sell-through ratio and a really bad 30-day sell-through ratio, you could basically say, okay, that market was really hot 90 days ago, but in the last 90 days, there's been a bunch of sellers that came in or a bunch of buyers left, but something happened. And in the last 30 days, this product is not as hot as it was 90 days ago.
Have
So you
you
can kind of
ever
see the trend there.
have you ever gone back and looked over a 3 or 6 or 9 month or year period and looked at that total cycle to see if it cycles up and down or
I
that?
have not personally. That would be really cool, though. Yeah, I would like to see that, and it would be interesting. Obviously, for the products that you're selling, if you're, consistent enough and successful enough to be selling the same product year in year out, then I think it would be really valuable to calculate that. But at the same time, you would also kind of be able to feel that in your sales anyway. So if that makes
So
sense.
so I've used Terapeak before, and one of the great features, if anyone's actually planning on using the software, is if you're only wanting to search for products that may also be private labeling, so you can really evaluate who your competition is, not the big brands. You can put in the negative sign, like the hyphen on your keyboard, and you can put in the brand name, and then please correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but the brand name that you're selecting, it won't come up in the results, so you have a more accurate idea of what products that are not big brand are selling versus which ones aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's one really cool feature about it. And another cool thing that we always recommend people do, really the only thing you have to know in there other than, just plug in a product and go, is they have search filters, which basically, will take out certain listings. So we always recommend people, say you think your product's going to sell for 20 bucks. There's an end price filter, which basically says what did the product sell for in the end. So if you're selling something like steak knives, there's really big quality differences with steak knives. Are you selling just the cheapest steak knives possible? Are you selling the ultimate steak knives that are made out of diamonds? Or so yeah, you can kind of do it like that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I got some stuff going on here.
No, it's great. That kind of leads to my next question. When you found a product that you think is going to sell pretty well, and you notice that there are other people, maybe not as many, but there's other people selling that product, how do you set yourself apart when you're getting your product sourced?
Um, yes. First, I remembered what I was going to say in this. I actually forgot to mention like the actual value point I was going to make before. So, yeah. So the end price filter there, if your product's selling for 20 bucks, or if you're selling, the $200 steak knife set, you can use that end price filter to take out all the really big quality differential and get just a good look at the premium steak knife market, or the really low quality steak knife market or whatever. So if you're selling a product that's 20 bucks, then maybe your end price filter is 14, 12 to 25, 28, something like that. So it cuts out the premium side of the market and the low end side of the market, and then just gives you a view of the really your chunk in the market. So, and then sorry, what was your next question?
No, it's cool. I'm the same way. So are there any ways to create a product that somewhat separates yourself, so when someone's searching in Amazon, you're not just like the other guys who are unknown brand?
Right. So that definitely gets into the private label side of things. So this gets into kind of the area with clients that I have a lot of fun. And that's yeah, like you said, we always recommend our clients, start small. Don't again get intimidated by the big dogs, and don't feel like you got to jump right to the top. Just start small and get that snowball rolling. So yeah, once you get to the point where you found some products that are working for you, and you don't want to just piggyback on other people's listings, you don't want to just sell this generic product anymore. That's when, and you really see an opportunity in a niche to go after it. That's when you're going to say, okay, now I need to start differentiating my product. Now I need to start thinking about the long-term view of my company. How am I going to develop different competitive advantages for my company? What's my secret sauce going to be as a company that other companies just can't compete with me. What's going to stop someone? Because if you're just piggybacking, one thing we recommend to our clients is to go look at people that are just doing arbitrage and just doing piggybacking, and even just doing private labeling, and go look at what products they're selling, and oh my God, look, there's 50 products that you can profitably import and sell on Amazon. So it's really easy to copy this business model, and it's just really fortunate right now because there's so many buyers coming in, again, because of that e-commerce revolution. So at a certain point, this is something we really try to stress with our clients. You have to develop competitive advantages, and you have to, have things that your competition's not going to be able to compete with you on. And again, you have to have that secret sauce, because that's what's going to give your company real lasting value, and that's what's going to give your company, that's what's going to give you the ability to actually sell your company for millions of dollars, and kind of take it to that next level of entrepreneurship. So yeah, I mean, in terms of how to differentiate, how to achieve those competitive advantages, you really just have to have a really good understanding of your customer, your product, and how they fit together, and really, why your customer wants your product, how it's enhancing the value of their lives. And the better you understand that, the better you're going to be able to connect with your customer and really enhance their lives, again, because that's the end goal here. So, to that end, there's an unlimited amount of ways, obviously, that you can enhance the lives of your customers, and it really depends on your customer and the problem they're having. So each business is different, but you really have to understand that, and you can never understand that enough, because you just constantly go on and find new ways to help your customers. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. To that end, eventually you're going to want to start making modifications to your product. Maybe you see, look at the guys who were doing the they could have just sold sunglasses, but instead they went to their manufacturer, and they probably were already selling sunglasses, and then they went to their manufacturer and said, hey, a bunch of frat kids are buying our sunglasses, why don't we turn one of the things into a bottle cap opener? And oh my God, look, there's the next level, there's the competitive advantage, and now you actually have something. Now those kids now went and licensed that to all the promotion companies, and now they're making millions of dollars doing nothing. The better you understand your customer, the more quickly and the more effectively you're going to be able to take that next step.
So are there any tips that you have for understanding your potential customer before you have it? Because I know for a lot of people, they're doing research, they're getting things together, and they're still trying to make it themselves different. Is there any way that you can kind of know your customer ahead of time before you actually get them?
Obviously, if you're going into products that you're really passionate about, that would help. I don't recommend, obviously, just going for products that you're passionate about, but yeah, if you have a deep understanding of the product, definitely that's going to help. For instance, fun fact that not many people know, I used to play professional paintball, and one of the coaches for one of my teams was just, he spent all day, every day, just sitting there at the paintball field coaching people. He was basically like the offensive coach, so he's just constantly just trying to help people. And through understanding his goal there and what the goals of us as players were, he saw all of a sudden, when you're playing paintball, this kind of getting off the rails, but when you're playing paintball, you have obviously the paintballs on the top of your gun, and then you also have them all over your back, because when you're playing at that level, you're just constantly shooting, so you're going through them constantly. And so you're like this. What it used to be was you would take the thing off your back, and you would have to pop the lid to your hopper, pop the lid to your pod, and then put it like that, and then kind of shake it, throw the pod down, and then close the lid. But what our coach did, through understanding what we had to do as players and what was really important to us, he said, oh my God, wait, why are there even lids on these things? Why don't we just put some sort of like garbage disposal type thing on top of the hopper, and then also put one on the pod, so they can just quickly go like this and throw it without having to do the whole lid thing and all this. So not many people would have thought of that, and nobody did, even though there were millions and millions of players. It was a $450 million market, and no one had thought of that yet. But he did, because he had such an intimate understanding of what we were trying to do, what was important to us, and what the end goal was. So he could really take an idea and develop it into a product and know exactly how it was going to work from start to finish, just instantly. So having a passion really helps.
I'm impressed that you have a paintball coach.
Not anymore though. Not anymore. We quit. What was it in 2008 or 2009? We quit. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. Probably a good decision long term, but sometimes we still want to get out there and play. So. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, like I said, having a really deep understanding of your customer, their goals, what's really important to them, because again, not many people are going to think, oh, what's really important to them is getting that 1 extra second, that 2 extra seconds, and not having to move the gun while you're shooting it, because you used to have to, do all this stuff and you lose your aim for like 2 seconds. So not many people would have thought of that, but he did, and now he's a millionaire because of it. So really having a deep understanding like that. Another way you can get a deep understanding is obviously just getting out there and talking to customers. This is another reason why we recommend getting out there and just kind of starting small and making sales. Because once you start making sales, you'll start interacting with real customers who have real expectations, real demands, and you'll start to get real feedback. And when you're just starting out, you have to be, ultra intimate with your customers to really get an understanding of why they're buying. What are the pain points in their life that led them to finding you? How did they find you? Why did they choose you over a competitor? To understand all these things, yeah, it's a never-ending journey to understand your customer.
Okay, very good advice. Yeah. So there was a term that you said a while back that a lot of people are used to hearing, but I don't think there's a good understanding of it for some of us. Could you explain what piggybacking is, how to do it, and what the benefit is, or the immediate benefit is of doing it?
Yeah. So
And also, while you're doing this, can you explain what it's not? Because I think a lot of people think it's something different, like just getting on a listing is piggybacking. I don't think that's necessarily the same, but.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of again, one interesting thing again about the whole internet marketing craze kind of sweeping it over. There's like a lot of terms that are all of a sudden becoming really defined, where in the past they've all been really loose. So yeah, I mean, piggybacking, basically just means, again, I think it's starting to get more developed of a term, but the way we see it and the way we kind of teach our clients is basically just, seeing existing demand and then piggybacking on top of there. So you can do it on the same listing if you want. We have people that for instance, one really good product that we found a while back, and it might be a little saturated now because we've told a lot of people about it, but it's the baby banana bendable toothbrush. If you put that in Amazon, and it used to be like a #1 seller in the baby category, and actually like just a couple months ago we had one of our IT guys, his daughter, started importing these baby banana toothbrushes and just did like 100 and sold them on Amazon, and just did like another 100, sold them on Amazon. And all of a sudden she's like doing a ton of these things. Now she's making like $200 a week just importing these baby banana bendable toothbrushes and selling them on an existing Amazon listing. So that's one way you can piggyback, is go through and find a product where it's just killing it on Amazon, and it doesn't look like the owners of the product are protecting their product on Amazon. That's where it kind of gets complicated. But
yeah,
but
I was just going to ask you, is it still your brand that you're using to piggyback with?
So at that point, again, there's a couple ways to do it. With the piggybacking with that method specifically, like what specifically our IT's guy's daughter did, she was literally just buying them on Amazon, exact same product, exact same packaging, and listing them on an existing listing. Now, yes, the product is trademarked. There's little R's on it and stuff like that. But going into the listing, you can see that there's like 75, 90. Now there's probably 150, 160 sellers on it. So you can make a pretty informed judgment. Excuse me. You can make a pretty informed judgment call and say, okay, the owners of this product, the owners of this listing, probably aren't going out and sending cease and desist and kicking everyone that sells their product off on Amazon. They probably just want to continue to sell to anyone, and they're not even touching Amazon. So one day they might say, that company might say, okay, now we want to sell these on Amazon and kick everyone else off. That's very possible. But until that day, you might be able to piggyback on that and just list on top of there and make money.
Well,
So that's
if
yeah.
you're
Go ahead.
buying a product in a retail store and it's their product and it's not a major brand, but it is their brand, I mean, that's perfectly legal and it complies with TOS to list off that product if it's listed. Is that correct?
Right. So that would be basically what we call so again we have like all these different terms, right? So yeah, like the first thing we do in our program with clients is take them through and like teach them all these different business models. And of course, like everyone can explain these business models differently, and everyone has a different understanding of them. But we kind of take people through and tell them how we define the different business models and stuff like that. So yeah, we would call that like clearance arbitrage. So going out to a store and local arbitrage, going out to a store and buying goods there. If you buy something from a Walmart, even if it's trademarked by one of the big dogs like Disney or anyone, you can legally sell that on Amazon. Now, if you're going to get in trouble, if they're going to give you a slap on the wrist at some point, that's very possible. But the Supreme Court did rule that it's legal. If Amazon wants to let you sell, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, right now, general arbitrage, and people doing that type of arbitrage, they're still able to resell any goods that they've gotten from a licensed source.
So since people have different interpretations, my interpretation of piggybacking is if you've got this widget and I go get the widget and I get it in different colors, or I get the widget and it sells in different colors, but they've only got it listed, they don't have a color variation. And so I buy up a bunch of colors, I get on their listing, but I can also create a color variation on their listing. And so now when somebody says, oh, I want this other color, I'm going to get to sell mine because the guy that listed it doesn't have a color. Or a bundle, like you bundle multiple, like a 2-pack or a 3-pack on their listing. So it's like you've used their listing. They can't change the variation because they'd have to ship in more product, so they have to really sell through their product before or ship more in order to take advantage of the fact that you've made a change on their listing and you're able to sell that product on their listing. Are you familiar with that tactic?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that exact method, but yeah, I mean that definitely sounds like. I mean, we would definitely call that piggybacking. I think that's a more complex, like a specific tactic within it. But yeah, and definitely a very cool one. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean that'd be piggybacking. I mean, as a rule of thumb, we always just talk about it, saying you're really just taking advantage of existing demand, existing customer base, existing client flow and deal flow. You don't have to go out there and spend money to get new customers, spend money to get a new product. It's just really simple to do it that way. You're just jumping right on and piggybacking on someone that already has it up and running.
Well, Denise
So
has a question that
yeah,
probably some of the people that are new are not understanding what I just said, and I wasn't for a long time. Still unclear what Jake literally said, get on their listing. Because I always assumed that I was going to create my own listing, and then I realized that, no, Amazon has the listing, and you just provide the product. And so you might put a product up there, and you might be the first to put the listing up, but anybody else that sells that can come on that listing. You might explain what getting on a listing is, or what a listing is, or how, I mean, the fact that there's multiple sellers on the same listing, etc. I think your screen froze.
Will, can you hear us okay? Yeah, I think I think he did froze. I don't see him moving.
I didn't know. I thought it was me at first because nobody was moving. So okay, so maybe he may have got booted out. So he may have to give him a minute to come back in.
Okay,
Or if
that's
you
cool.
got his, or you can PM him and let him know that he needs to come back in.
Okay, will do. Let's see. All right, so we'll wait. So someone asked a question that we already addressed about uh, going into a competitive market. So what Will was explaining is that he actually uses a software in order to determine that, and basically with the software, he's able to see how much of the product is selling, uh, or how much of the product is for sale versus how much of the product is actually selling. So then there's like a ratio. So if 80% of all of listings are selling, then we can assume that it's open market for us. We'll sell about the same as well. But if only 30% is shown, only 30% is selling, then that may not be as strong. Us entering in, it just our luck may not be as strong. So he doesn't use, or he didn't state that he uses reviews or anything specific like that. It's just more so the ratio, and if there's room for him to enter. I hope that makes sense. But like I said, you'll get the replay afterwards, so you'll actually be able to hear him saying in his own words what exactly he does. And guys, I did get a message. He did get kicked out, and he'll be coming back in shortly. We're sorry about that.
Denise, I'll try to explain what that means. What happens when you say get on somebody's listing? If you go down to Target and find, a Frozen doll that's popular because of the movie, you buy up a bunch of those dolls and you go to upload your FBA listing, and there's already a listing created for that particular doll. You have a UPC code, you put it in there, and it says, oh, okay, this listing is already on Amazon. So you can't create a separate listing. You have to literally put your items on that listing, and that's when you go to when you go look at that item and you're shopping as a customer, it'll say this guy has this doll for this price, and then it also down below says, and there's 7 other sellers or 24 other sellers, and you can go look at their listing or their version of the listing, which is the same version, but you just get to see a different price. And so that listing is exactly the same for all the listings. I think you can amend those listings if there's something incorrect or there's additional information you can add, but by all means, you're not creating a separate listing. You're competing with 10 other people who are selling the exact same lunchbox or the exact same toy or the exact same tool, and that's how a listing. And that's why I say if you piggyback. The piggyback aspect of a listing is being able to go on that listing and say, okay, I am going to change something. I'm going to add some colors. This is a cup, and I'm going to add, it's a black cup, and then you come along and you say, well, I bought some exact same brand, but I've got a red and a blue and a yellow, and you add those color variations, and if the original seller doesn't have those colors in his inventory, then people come along and buy a color, they automatically have to buy yours. And you may be the only one on that listing that has that color variation. So you actually, in a way, you've kind of hijacked. Not illegal either. It's not illegal. You've kind of taken over that that listing with your variation, and that gives you some extra leverage when you're selling your product.
Okay, guys. So I actually read his message wrong. Will's power actually went out. He said it's the first time of year, so he has no electricity. He messaged me through his phone and let me know. So I do
Oh
apologize
my
about that.
goodness.
Yeah. For anyone who wants to actually follow up with Will and learn more about him, Startup Bros, the community that they've created to actually help people grow and start in Amazon, I'm going to go ahead and post the link for you. They have a lot of webinars that you can attend, and actually, that's how I found them. I attended one of their webinars. From start to finish, they show you how you can research a product and how to go about finding a supplier and getting started on Amazon. Truly an amazing experience. I work with these guys, top notch material that they're going to be sharing with you, and the webinar is going to be free. It's going to be startupbros.com/importing hyphen event, and you can register. I don't know when the next one is because they do it live. It's not just like a recording, so you can go to that site and check that out, because I haven't been to a webinar in a really long time. But before we go ahead and sign off, was there anything that I or Jake could answer for you about Amazon or tonight's webinar? I'll be honest. I I've never had anyone jump on my listing. Um, and I've heard different stories and how people have resolved it. Like I had someone say that someone was selling their exact product, but I think what happened was they put out a coupon code and the coupon code was made live, and someone bought like 100 of their units, and then they resold it. So if you're getting it for $1 but you sell for 34.97, now someone has your inventory and they're selling. I don't know if
That'd
you
be the
mean
only
by
way they could do it legally. That would be the only way they could do it legally. There are some people that come on a listing and their product is not exactly the same. It looks a little bit different, or it's different packaging, and they are definitely hijacking. That Amazon is going to instruct you to go purchase that item from your competition, uh, get it in delivered to you to your home or your office, and then you have to take photographs and then send it into Amazon to prove that yes, this guy actually is selling a product similar to mine, but they're hijacking my private label listing, and then Amazon would follow up on that.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Will again just messaged me. You know, he sends his apologies. He said, like, again, that was the first time in a very long time that that's happened. But if there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and exit out and bid you guys farewell. And like I said, go ahead and check out Will at startupbros.com/importing hyphen event. And it's a live free webinar where he's actually going through how he looks for a product and actually sources it. Great information. Usually his partner's on there too, so you know not only do you get one great seller, but you get two. And as you can see, they do tens of thousands a week, so you can definitely imagine what type of information you'll get. So guys, thank you so much for attending. I'll go ahead and send you guys some follow-up information such as the worksheet and where you can go ahead and go to his webinar. And I hope you guys have a really great night. Jake, you want to say anything?
No, it was good while it lasted.
All right.
So
Bye,
I
guys.
enjoyed it. Thanks. Cheers. Bye-bye.